Alright guys, it is now 1 day away from the startup. Basically, it's like midnight at the moment. And basically Bryn is coming down tomorrow and we're going to try and make the heat shields and stuff to go around the exhaust manifold. Also try and make the turbo support brackets. I don't know whether we'll get time to do that or not, but we'll see. So yeah, speaking of heat as well, I have just been to get the manifolds after dropping off to get coated a few days ago. Just been to pick them up. I'll show you some video and stuff now so you can see what they look like. The coating kind of makes my welds look even worse than they already were in some places, to be honest. But yeah, it is what it is. Also, the reason I've gone for white is because one, it was cheaper, and two, it actually seems to give better performance. Like, I think they rate that up to 1400 degrees Celsius, because that's like the natural color, is that creamy white color. Yeah, the coloured ones I think are only rated up to like 900 degrees Celsius or something like that. So yeah, it's kind of win-win because I would have gone for white anyway because it's better and it happened to be cheaper, so can't complain. But yeah, I'll try and film some stuff tomorrow when Bryn's here. I don't know if I'll be able to because we've still got a lot to do. I'll show you. Like, this is what the car currently looks like. I've basically spent the last few days just doing wiring stuff and like it just feels like I've not got anywhere. But we're going to be taking the engine back out, so that's why like a lot of stuff isn't really in its final place at all. But yeah, we'll be taking that out to make all the heat shields and stuff off the car. So a lot of this is going to be coming out. But yeah, there's still loads of little jobs to do, really. I've just finished putting like sealant on all these connections on the inlet manifold because they're all MPT connections, so they need sealant. Same with like the coolant temperature sensor and stuff like that. Same with the scav pump. Just doing loads of little jobs like that all add up and take time. Again, like the wiring stuff. I'll show you what we've got set up for wiring now. Right, basically the battery is going to be in the back. I've not made the mount for it yet. That's one of the jobs that I didn't get a chance to do yet, but we've got a sketchy little setup just to ground it, so it's good enough for us to test. Then that runs to the master kill switch. Again, not finished, just ignore how it looks, but runs to the master kill switch, goes from there to like a power distribution pole at the back there that I've covered over there, which then splits off and feeds the extra fuse box that I've added, which is powering like the scav pump and the gauges and the oil cooler fan and stuff like that. And then also splits off and powers the rest of the car, basically, like through the normal thing that would have been on the battery when it was there. So yeah, you get an idea of how the power is set up. But yeah, we're going to be cracking on tomorrow with the heat shield stuff, then hopefully putting the engine and the turbos and everything back in for the last time, then trying to start it up. So you'll see in this video whether it starts or not, whether we're successful. So let's cut to tomorrow, see how it goes. Right, we're just testing the fuel system. Bryn's here. Hi, Bryn. Hello. We're testing the fuel system before we do anything else, just to make sure there's no leaks. So I've hooked up the battery to the kill switch, and if I can find my keys, point it in the bucket. Yep. Ooh, little dribble. I think we've got to wait a while for the swirl pot to fill up. That's what we've been thinking. Oh yeah, she gets there, but the trouble is because they're just priming, they turn off pretty quick. So it's like an after-sex piss, as Bryn says. But yeah, now we're going to do lots of other stuff, including getting the engine back in after we've just taken it out and put the manifolds on and started putting the EGT sensors in. They've got very dirty already. Like, these things get so dirty so quickly. But yeah, we're nearly there to put the engine back in, hopefully for the final time. Bryn has been hard at work putting this Funk Motorsport heat shield. Shout out to Funk Motorsport for this actually being really easy to work with and nice and just the right thickness. This is, yeah,
that stuff was fantastic.
That was fantastic after we'd spent ages working with this stuff, which is Zerkotech heat shield, which I got a while ago and was planning to use for the manifolds before I got that stuff. This was a twat to work with, as you can tell by how bad it's turned out looking. Like, look at that, it looks horrendous. It's so stiff, like so rigid, that we basically had to cut bits out of it to make it foldable, and then like bolt bits to other bits. Is such a twat. So yeah, it looks like ass, but we haven't got time to do a better job. And this, to be honest, this took hours even to get it to look this good. So yeah, that didn't turn out great, but it's the best we could do, and it'll do a job. Like, you know what I mean, it'll save a lot of heat getting out there, so it does the job. This looks a lot nicer. We managed to actually form this to the chassis pretty nicely, which is good because we're very tight for space around here, so we needed to do that. But yeah, this is a slightly thicker version of this heat shield that they make. This was perfect sort of thickness to work with, so it's ideal. And yeah, now we're potentially going to put the engine back in for the last time. If, like, barring Bryn's laughing, barring anything going wrong, barring like these fouling on stuff or anything going wrong, this could potentially be the last time the engine goes in. It's now like 1 o'clock in the morning, as usual. Shout out to Bryn for staying up this late, and he loves it. Yeah, so do I, to be fair. So yeah, we're gonna put this in, see what happens. Alright guys, I don't know exactly what you've seen last because I set the camera up on the tripod while me and Bryn were putting everything back together, and it turns out it didn't film anything, or it did, but it didn't save the file properly. It does this sometimes when I film long stuff, like if I just leave it going on a tripod for ages, it just doesn't save the file properly. It's just like a 0-byte file. So, sorry, I don't know what you've seen, but basically, long story short, me and Bryn spent all weekend putting everything back together, making the heat shields as you saw, but then just putting everything back on the car. And we still ran out of time, even with two of us spending all that time on it. Basically, Bryn lives like 2 hours away from me, so he had to head off home at like 9 o'clock at night. He was supposed to leave at about 6, but yeah, he stayed an extra 3 hours. And we ended up like just rushing stuff, just trying to get it done so that we could at least start it up while he was here. And it was just, we both agreed, it was just, we were rushing things too much, and it probably still wasn't going to get done until like midnight or something. We got it 90% there, and then when Bryn left, I finished a few bits off the next day. Like I'm filming this like 2 days later. And I spent another like 10 hours finishing stuff off the next day and redoing a few bits that we rushed. And now, basically, the day after that, now I'm waiting for Bald Yoda to turn up. Big thank you to him in advance. I'm waiting for Bald Yoda to turn up so that we can fire it up. It's pretty much good to go. I've got 1 or 2 tiny little things left to do. And then we're going to fill it full of fluids and we're going to see if it starts up. Right, I've no idea if people are going to be able to hear or see anything, but we're going for the first start. And Bald Yoda is putting oil everywhere. Trying to keep this place tidy.
It's called oil over your engine, mate.
Don't do that. More flammable shit, is not what we need.
Halfway up the dipstick, boys.
Perfect.
Fucking shittest dipstick ever.
It is the worst. I am quite worried flattening the battery because it's been dead.
Have you got any other way of...
We've got a jump start thing, but it's not amazing. But let's keep doing that a few times more. Come on. That didn't sound good, did it? That sounded like something popped.
That sounded like a shot.
It did. This is the. I mean, it sounded like it popped down there to me, but which is where the start motor is. How the fuck are we going to know what popped?
I would imagine a fuse will line somewhere, and that'll give you an idea of where you should.
Oh my fucking god! Ah, first start, success, nailed it. Oh yeah, it's this one.
That one?
Yeah, the main one on the battery. That doesn't help us, does it? Poof! That means it could be literally anything.
Yeah. Yeah, could be. That diagnoses fuck all.
Your fire extinguisher ready?
Yeah.
Great start. I mean, it started.
That's fuel.
You reckon? Still, before I can really figure out what I'm doing with it all, to be honest. Turn that up because it's a whole new fuel system. It might just be that there's more pressure than it had before, so it's not getting enough fuel into the thingy. So it stinks.
You need to tighten your fan belt as well.
Yeah, I just noticed that screw. Oh, dry. Oh no, we've got coolant dripping from there. If that's the only leak we've got, I'm pretty fucking happy with that.
Oh baby.
So far, 1 blown fuse, 1 leak. I'm pretty happy with those stats.
Half a fire.
Half a fire. I'm counting it. I'm counting it as running. Let's take it to the fucking drag strip. Let's go.
I love your optimism. It's fucking ace.
It's unusual for me. I think I'm just happy that it actually even started up. Like, there's nothing that majorly wrong if we've got to that point. Considering I've rebuilt half the fucking car
You've done well.
without really knowing what I'm doing.
You have done really well.
I can't really complain if we've got to that point. Because after this, it's just troubleshooting and fixing a little bit.
Yeah, you say that, you like it's an easy thing.
Yeah.
Right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to adjust the flow rate while it's running.
So what were we at then?
About 40.
Right, quick update. We've had quite a few issues with bleeding the coolant system. Mainly, I think, because we did a bit of a dodgy job of filling the original level, didn't we? We didn't really know what we were doing. You. We didn't really know what we were doing with this new swirl pot thing. And I think basically we didn't fill that high enough, so the level wasn't actually completely full. So basically there was still a load of air in the system. So now that we've spent a while bleeding it, we think we're getting there. But so far, so good, really. We blew a fuse, which we've fixed. Turns out I just didn't do something up properly, we think. We had an issue with one tiny leak on the wastegate coolant line, and then now just these bleeding issues. But other than that, oh, the fuel pressure regulator as well. Turns out this vacuum line that we've got that basically goes to the fuel pressure reg, the idea of this is that when you're on boost, it adds extra pressure to the fuel to compensate for the boost that you're shoving into the engine that tries to push the fuel out, essentially. But it turns out on idle, that actually, obviously on idle, it's kind of pulling a vacuum, not boost, it's the opposite. So that actually affects the fuel pressure in the opposite way. It lowers it. Because as soon as we took this line off, it just went to normal fuel pressure. Now we put it back on. Actually, did we check what it looks like now that it's back on? Yeah. Was it drops back down to 40? Yeah, because we've set it at 50, but with this back line on, it'll drop back down to 40 on idle. So yeah, we think that's normal. It seems to work fine as soon as you take the back line off. So yeah, we're going to fire it up again, see if this coolant is all bled. She runs. Sounds fucking mad. You can hear the turbos whistling quite a bit. Try and show you. Right, it's been running for a while now, the temps are staying steady, so we think we've got it all bled properly. Yeah, I've got to put the whole exhaust system on, because at the moment we've got no exhaust, which is why it sounds a bit shit at the moment. But speaking of sound, these fuel pumps are so fucking noisy. So noisy. But yeah, I'll get used to that. But yeah, no, we think we're good. One weird issue we've got is that the clocks don't work for some reason. They light up, but they don't do anything, so that's kind of odd. But yeah, we've got this aftermarket temp gauge plumbed in, and the temps haven't changed at all now for a while with the fans on, so it's looking good. So we're going to call that a success. Alright guys, I know you want to see it actually being like revved properly and have the full exhaust on and everything so you can see what it actually sounds like, but I'm afraid that's going to have to wait until it gets mapped next week. For now, it's just on like a base map. Obviously the engine's freshly built as well. This is not the time to be thrashing it at all. So I think Mark Abbey Motorsport, who did the map, he wasn't even keen for me to run it this much. Like, I think he just wanted me to start it up, make sure nothing leaked, and just take it to them to get mapped, which would be the best and the safest thing to do. But it's a long way. It's like 5 hours for me to get to them. So I don't want to go all the way there and then find that something leaks or something isn't right that we need to fix and that I could have fixed on my own here easily. So the plan is to just keep running it a few times here, just keep checking for leaks, keep making sure everything's okay, and then go for a quick test drive on the road, just literally at like 20 or 30 miles an hour, not flooring it at all, not making any boost or anything really, just literally just driving it around, just seeing if everything works okay, and then bring it back, check it all over again. And then I'll be feeling a bit better then. I'm still pretty nervous, to be honest, about taking it for mapping, but I'll feel a bit better then about going all the way down there. I think we're going to be spending 2 days there with them, getting it mapped. And yeah, that's going to be the proper test. Well, I mean, the proper test will be when we take it to the first drift day, but doing the mapping is going to be the first time it gets any real stress. And the first time there's probably quite a high chance of something going wrong. Hopefully not, but I don't know. I can't say I'm feeling too confident. Having said that, the first startup, I'm pretty happy with how that went. You probably saw me explaining that to Bald Yoda. But yeah, I'm pretty happy overall that all we had was a blown fuse and a tiny coolant leak that was easily sorted. So Yeah, that was pretty good, to be fair, considering how much stuff I've changed. When you think about, like, over 5 months, I have done so much work to this car, and a lot of it is stuff that I'm doing for the first time. You know, I've never made a coolant expansion tank or a swirl pot before. I've never made like a custom fuel system before. Obviously, I didn't make that bit, but I've never put it all together. Because that's the thing. There's no guide for all this stuff. Like, I'm not saying nobody's ever twin turbo to 350 before or anything like that, but everyone does it differently. Different kits and things do it differently. I'm kind of just piecing it all together myself and making it up as I go, really. So there was a lot of potential for things to go wrong, for it to like not even run, or for something to just leak because all the hoses are made and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I'm pretty happy. This video has probably been pretty short and not really that much actual content, just me talking, but what's new? So yeah, whatever's next, I will see you there. I think there's probably going to be a couple more videos before we get to mapping, because like I said, that's in about a week, and I've still actually got quite a lot of stuff to do. You might think it's pretty much done because it's starting up and running, but no, I've still got quite a lot to do, unfortunately. So there'll be a couple more videos, probably making out the catch can and doing some other bits and bobs before mapping, and then yeah, in about a week's time, it'll get mapped and we'll see if it blows up, if it makes some power. Leave a comment down below, actually, of roughly how much power you think it's going to make. I asked this on Instagram the other day, got quite a wide variety of answers, but yeah, leave a comment. Like, I'll give you a rough sort of idea of where to aim between. Standard, like without the turbos on, it was making just under 300 brake horsepower, okay? And the fuel system will probably be the limiting factor. I don't know, actually. Maybe the turbos themselves will be the limiting factor for peak horsepower. But the fuel system is basically, I've made that rated up to about 600 brake. So basically anywhere between 300 and 600 it could be. The turbos are rated for 270 or 280 brake each, I think. So, but then I'm sure I saw somebody say they got 300 out of them, so I don't know. In theory, could be up to 600. In reality, my guess is, I reckon about 450. That's my realistic guess. I'd be happy with that. Anything above 400 I'll be happy with. Because again, for anyone who's not followed this build from the start, just want to explain, I didn't build this to be a mad high horsepower build, okay? This is for, like, I've built everything to be as responsive as possible. So this is going for quick spool up and response rather than high peak horsepower. So it's not going to make crazy numbers, you know, it's not, I don't think it's going to be anywhere near 600, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. So yeah, whatever the next video is, probably catch can stuff and whatever else I've forgotten to do, loads of wiring stuff as well. Whatever it is, I will see you there.